Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's episode of the Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm here with Ben. I'm here with Brian. I'm Justin. We recently just watched the JFK movie. Probably not the one you think, because I actually didn't know that this was like an acted movie. I always thought it was the documentary. I think, in fact, I thought that when we had first selected the movie. But anyway, so it's been a while. Hey, we're back. But also, where do we start? We start with how we feel about the movie, right? And then we go into the ratings last. Didn't we change that?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Been a while. So who wants to go? Who's got the strongest feelings towards this movie?
I don't feel super strongly. We all know what I'm going to jump into first. It was a long one, guys. That was a long movie. We had varying reports of 3 hours to 3.5 hours, depending on whether or not you watch the extended cut. It's a long one. It's too long for me. That is a big negative in my book.
Yeah, and no after the credits scene either, so we can't see who's going to be in the next Avengers movie.
Oh, wrong film. Wrong film. What other thoughts do you have, Brian?
I thought there was a superstar cast. Like, I couldn't believe how many familiar faces are in this movie. Really well acted. We had another repeat actor. Of all people, it was Sissy Spacek from Carrie.
Yeah,
was the wife of the lawyer. And I thought that's pretty interesting. That, like, she has not been in too many movies, to my knowledge, and for her to be our first, like, or second repeat, I guess, in the series. Was kind of fun. I thought that this movie did a great job of taking historical footage and new footage and blending it pretty seamlessly together to where old new scenes and new old scenes seamlessly played together. I think Oliver Stone did a great job. And the acting was really good, other than Joe Pesci's terrible eyebrows. I looked up that dude in real life, and I know that he looks similar, but I couldn't get over.
It wasn't the hairpiece for you?
Well, the first movie,
the eyebrows.
God,
it's the
those
eyebrows.
hairpieces were awful, though.
The first movie I saw Joe Pesci in, because of my age, was Home Alone. He was Harry in Home Alone. And so seeing Harry run around with this orange wig and terrible eyebrows painted on was too much for me.
It was horrendous.
No, honestly, I really wish this would have been a shorter movie, because I think it does a pretty good job of taking, even to this day, I don't think we 100% know what all went down with the assassination of JFK. And it takes a theory or a bundle of theories and does a really good job of presenting them as a full-fledged story. Whether or not it's valid or how much of it is true, I don't know, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a good movie. I just think it was so long that, like, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, I was knocking another point off my score, just because I'm never going to watch this movie again. Like, I just can't watch this again. Anyone else?
It was a bit of an interesting one for me, because I felt like it got better as it went on, but it started so badly for me. Like, I don't know, like, the voiceover was weird to me. Like, I was even reflecting on it. Like, I think if you had taken Kevin Costner's character and made his voice the voiceover, and just kind of made it like him talking about the events, and then it cuts to him where he's at, and then it moves forward. The voiceover just felt so awkward. It felt like we're trying to do a documentary, but we're not doing a documentary, but we're trying still to do a documentary. Like, I don't know, that, and then the combination of, like, when the actors are first introduced, it feels like they didn't know that they were supposed to be acting. And, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the movie got, like, the acting got better, the story got better, the movie, but, like, starting off, I'm like, I don't know if they know that they are meant to be making a film. It was, like, just very casual, very, like, even, like, Kevin Costner's accent didn't feel right in the first, like, 30 minutes or so. It was like, they just didn't feel real to me. And I think the other thing that, like, as I watched the movie, that was, like, I don't know, just kind of was in the back of my mind the whole time, is like, this is a fairly controversial film, just because there's, like, a lot of conspiracy mixed in with reality, and but I think I struggled because it's like the movie is written for you to believe that this is what the JFK story is. Like, this is reality. This is what happened. This is what, you know, these are the people covering it up. These are the groups that, like, it was presented as facts. And it was tough for me to, like, really stay engaged, because I'm like, this is a cool movie and really cool theories, but, like, it's not potentially real at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's where I struggle, because, like, Oliver Stone wants you to believe that this film is painting the true reality of what happened to JFK and all those involved with it. And it's like, a lot of historians would tend to disagree with him, and we'll never know. I don't think we'll ever know, right? But, like, it was a bit tough for me to then, because I'm like, I want to root for the lawyer, and, like, I want to uncover the truth, but it's like, I don't think we're uncovering an actual truth here. So I don't know. It's a bit of a strange film. It was absolutely so long. There's so many scenes that you could cut out. I mean, I'm thinking of, like, even the whole section where he goes to jail to visit the Kevin Bacon's character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's just so unnecessary in the grand scheme of the film. Like, there are other characters that paint the same picture of this dude who is potentially a closeted homosexual man, and he's having these raves and stuff. It's like, there's other characters that are going to tell that story. Kevin Bacon's character just felt totally unnecessary. And it was like a 30-minute long scene. I mean, it just, like, again, cut out a few things here and there, and all of a sudden this film is potentially very good.
I felt like
potentially watchable.
Yeah. Potentially rewatchable even. Like, I just don't know how I would tackle this film again.
Yeah.
There was a point in the movie where it felt to me, and you have to forgive me because this movie was so long, I watched it in 3 sittings. It was like, I had to keep stopping and, like, do something else because I was falling asleep, or I was getting, completely bored. It felt at one point that the lawyer was just, he would get, like, one new piece of information and call that person to his office immediately to question him and do a line of questioning, and then let him go. And, like, Clay Shaw, like, after he gets the big exposition from Kevin Bacon's character, calls in Clay Shaw, Tommy Lee Jones, comes into his office. He asks him, like, 6 questions, basically letting him know, like, I'm on to you. Okay, you're free to go, though. And I was like, well, that didn't move the story forward at all. I didn't need to know any of that at all. Like, it's right. It just felt like they were belaboring every little point to convince the audience, like, this is why they called him in, and this is why. I was like, you could have done a lot of that a little bit better, in my opinion.
And before sorry, Justin, I'm stealing your thunder, but to add to that point, Brian, like, the portion where it's fully focused on Kevin Costner's wife and the fact that she's, like, thinking about leaving him, and the kids, he's not around for the kids on Easter and all that. And it's like, but then at the end of the film, she's sitting in the crowd, like, comforting him. Like, again, what was I understand the emotional purpose of it, but it doesn't actually fit within the storytelling of the movie. It's just there.
There was no personal conflict or anything.
Right. No, there's nothing there that would go like, oh, I'm so glad they added that in as a little, like, teaser to what's coming. So, yeah. All right, Justin, what are your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are pretty relatively simple. If you are interested at all in this story, watch the documentary, or any of the 15 dozen documentaries there are on this whole thing. Go visit if you can, go visit the actual book depository in Dallas. I've been there. It actually has a whole little museum, and it's a really interesting thing. This movie to me was tough to get through, and it wasn't because of the timing. I feel like I could get through a good movie for 3 hours. I feel like I could survive that. I rewatched the extended editions of The Lord of the Rings. I watched The Godfather. Like, long movies aren't bad. This one felt like it was more homework than anything, and that's irregardless of, like, we're gonna do a podcast on this, so we need to watch it. It felt like homework in the sense of, like, I've got to keep up with all the details or I'm going to miss something that's very, very important to the story. Um, and so I feel like Oliver Stone achieved what he set out to do, which was to tell a sort of an exaggerated story attached to this, or like the search for truth in the midst of a lot of unknowns and stuff like that. But I felt like it got muddled up in. So I think sort of I took the opposite approach, or the opposite opinion of what Brian said about all of the star-studded cast that we got. I feel like every time, because I didn't look at this movie at all beforehand. I knew Kevin Costner was in it because he was on the cover. I started the movie, and literally every time a new character comes on, it's like this ultra superstar. I've watched, more than a dozen of this person's movies. I have this idea of who they are and how they act, and all these different characters. And my brain, whether it's ADHD or not, my brain wanted to think about all the movies that I've seen young Gary Oldman in, right? And so like for me, every time a new character would come on, I would get lost in lost in what was going on. And to me, this is not a movie where you can do that. You have to pay attention to the story, because then I'm like, well, when did Kevin Bacon come into the story, right? Because he's talking to this guy about his story and all this kind of stuff, depositions and all this stuff, and I'm like, ay. So to me, I got very lost in the movie, and it felt like I was almost gonna have to start taking notes. A couple of things that I found, like my biggest con was like the hair pieces and things like that. But one of my biggest pros was the accents. I love these accents. Not all of them were perfect, but it's that type of, like, from Texas to like Alabama, those accents range there. I love them. I think they're great. I married my wife because she talked the way she talked, and that's the only reason. No, I'm just kidding. But true. But she is like that Southern belle with that whole draw and everything in the way that she talks. And so I found it super pleasant. What's his name? John Candy. When he came on in the restaurant, I was like, yes, this is great. I love it. And then the other pro was Kevin Costner's eyebrows. But eyebrow great aside, no, I thought it was an okay movie. It's not a rewatch for me under any circumstances. And if my recommendation is that if you're trying to get actual information about what's going on, is watch a documentary before you try to watch this movie. This movie is not it, because to me, the footage that they added in really stretched out the movie, and in some cases it was helpful, but in other cases it didn't do anything for me. And that might be because this is such a well-known event, the assassination of the American president, that, growing up in the 90s, we were still looking at all these videos and stuff through school and all that kind of stuff. So I was familiar with most of the footage, I guess, probably even from a documentary standpoint. But yeah, to me, if you want the story, go watch a documentary. And there are documentaries about every, oh, it was the mafia, oh, it was the CIA, oh, it was the both of them, or it was this or that or the other thing. And to me, this is a movie that you want to watch if you like procedural, like lawyer type stuff.
If you like the boring version of Law and Order, this is the movie for you.
That's the one, in a very specific part of the country.
Right.
But yeah, so there were probably a lot of unnecessary backstories that seemed a little problematic, shall we say, and it seemed like they were trying to point people in a certain direction. And but certain parts of it I found interesting, like all of the like I didn't realize how much they blamed the communists over this whole thing. I don't know why I didn't think that, because it was right in that time frame. But yeah, so it's kind of on the lower scale for me. But there were parts of it that I did like.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, fair enough.
I mean, yeah.
I do think, like, considering none of the three of us were alive, when these events actually took place, and they were such a huge cultural event, this movie, I thought, at least for me, did a good job of like making me feel like I was part of it. Or at least like making it relevant. Like I said, I think they did a good job of like taking new clips and threading it into the existing clips that we've seen, like in school, and like making them look the same and of the same era. But I think, yeah, the biggest problem is it is taking kind of a fictional story, telling it as the truth and really what happened, and hanging it all on, well, they couldn't quite pin it on Clay Shaw, and for that reason, like, it didn't hold up. But as far as I know, I might have made this up, but I feel like I read somewhere that the making of this movie, a lot of people like came against it because it was like so untrue, and some people were like, wow, it's really good, but it caused certain documents to be released early because like they're talking in that year 2029, something like that, is when the case is set to like turn over. But because of this movie, it actually fast tracks some of the stuff to come to light, and I think most of the documents and films and stuff have been released already. And so that's kind of interesting to think that a movie would have that kind of a real world impact.
Yeah. It was so controversial. Legislation released all the documents like 12 years earlier, just to be like, listen, this guy's crazy. Don't watch this film, please.
Wrong. Here's the proof.
But it is still a work of fiction, and it was not my favorite movie that we've watched so far.
Right. Right.
So are we ready to jump into ratings?
Ratings, yeah. I think Justin, I just want to hear Justin's rating because I just don't know where he's at. Like I have an idea of where Brian's at. I don't know where Justin's at on this film, so I
really tried to say good and bad about it for that reason.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to be like perfect 10.
10 out of 10 would rewatch. No, I'm gonna probably go 4.5.
Fair.
Okay.
Ben?
I got it at like a 5.6.
Okay.
I just think there's that many worse movies out there, and in the grand scheme of it, this had some redeeming quality. Like, it had some good stuff.
I'm gonna shoot it. Go ahead.
Wait, before you do that, I didn't ever say this. I did like the setting. I liked the buildings. I thought that was well done. It felt like we were in a time period that could have existed. So, anyways, Brian, rating?
I was going to shoot it right down the middle. There's as many things I like about the movie as I hate. For every like good point I can think of a bad one. So I'm going to give it a straight 5, which gives our average score a 5.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Pretty good.
Nice. Yeah.
All right.
Is that our first 5?
That is our first 5. The only other movies.
Where does that put it in comparison to Tree of Life?
Okay, let's find out. The Tree of Life is
hopefully I didn't rate Tree of Life higher.
A 2.7 overall.
Okay, wow. Just want to make sure.
Movies in the same ballpark as that one. We have Carrie at a 5.2. We have Citizen 4 at a 5.3. Similar area. So
I think those would be comparable in general.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
It's working. All right. Well, the way that we end these episodes is we go back to the list of movies. We have 1,226 movies remaining on our list, and we generate a new random number. That number this week is 55. Oh,
55.
boy.
This is a nightmare.
This is going to be 60s.
No.
Earlier than that.
This is like
earlier
1920 or 1910 or something. 1920, I was close.
1931.
Oh.
It's called City Lights. City Lights.
City Lights. I will pull it up right now for us. It is a movie that is starring Charlie Chaplin, Virginia Sherrill, Al Ernest Garcia, Hank Mann. It is with the aid of a wealthy, erratic tippler, a dewy-eyed tramp who has fallen in love with a sightless flower girl, accumulates money to be able to help her medically. That was some words.
That just sounded like you went to a AI and just throw me the most random movie description you can get. Holy cow.
GPT.
That was crazy.
I will say, though, these Charlie Chaplin movies are very short, aren't they?
Yes.
So we're getting like...
we're looking at it. It is a drama romance comedy. Its runtime is 1 hour and 27 minutes. So we're under 90 minutes for this one.
All right.
And it's rated G.
And it can be found supposedly for free on Max or Amazon Prime if you have a premium subscription. If not, it's about $2.99 on every platform. So
It also
yeah,
looks like
that's
for free
next.
on the Criterion channel. I've never even heard of that, but hey.
Yeah, that sounds right. And you could most likely, if I had to guess, find this movie. Like if you have a library card, you could probably find this one on a library website because these older films typically get archived into those kind of things. So we hope you enjoy. We'll watch along with us. This one's a short one, so if you want to watch City Lights with us, please do. And we will catch you maybe in a month, maybe in a week, maybe never.
Maybe tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Yep.
Big kisses.